she saw this mom in the mall and her kid was having a full-blown tantrum, took her child out of the store. You know, she didn't make a scene. She was very in control of the situation and walked out. I'm like, oh, that's great. And she goes, it was you in the store. And I'm like, it was me. Life is like a roller coaster, but it's so much better when we go through it together. Welcome to the Candace Cameron Bure Podcast. We're here to share conversations about life's challenges, celebrations, and everything in between. Dr. Josh and Christi Straub are teaching about becoming better parents. Come join us. Hi guys, welcome back.
Hi.
Thanks
we
for
love
having
this.
us.
This is fun.
It's so good. I'm excited to talk about our topic today because it's about becoming better parents.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of focus on us even more than the kids, because when we become parents, it really changes us. Like we're teaching our kids, we're helping them grow, but in the process, we're growing as adults.
Yeah.
And I can think about so many ways in which I've grown over the years. Christi, I know you're going to share some great stories today. I can't wait to hear them. And but Josh, first, tell us where we're going in today's episode.
Yeah, this is my favorite topic probably of any that we're doing.
Okay, good.
And part of that is because I remember when Christi would say this to me a few years back. She says, I hate the word parenting. I'm like, why do you not like the word parenting so much? And I think part of it came out of your own story. But the word parenting, as I started studying it, really comes to this place of understanding that parenting comes with this assumption that we can change another person. We can change our children. And the reality is we can't really change anybody. The only person we can truly change and take 100% responsibility for is ourselves. And so that's what I love about this. And when you look at the research, you can pretty much sum up all of parenting research into one primary conclusion, and that's that our kids become who we are. So that's like this big, like, whoa, wait a second, my kids become who we are. And the reason for that is because more is caught than taught. And so we go back to the environment that we were talking about, the emotional environment of our home. There was a research study done, and you've heard us in the first couple episodes talk about some of these really core things that matter as it relates to cultivating emotional safety. And I remember seeing this meta-analysis done by a researcher out of Harvard University. His name is Robert Epstein. And one of the things that he did was he wanted to find out what were like the top 10 parenting strategies to get the outcomes we most desire in our children. And a meta-analysis is where you take a whole bunch of studies, a whole bunch of data, and you gather them all together and you find the average to say, okay, what were the most effective? And then before he revealed the results, he asked quote unquote parenting experts what they thought the top 10 would be. And none of the experts got it right.
Wow.
So of the top 10, I'll talk about 3 of those. Number one, the number one parenting strategy to get the outcomes we desire in our children, number one is love and affection. And when you think about it, you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. We're talking about the emotional environment of our home. Love and affection is number one. Number two, okay, you would have had to have listened to the previous episodes to understand this. But the second greatest parenting strategy to get the outcomes we desire in our kids is a parent's ability to manage his or her own stress. Our ability to be able to maintain our calm and cool when our amygdala, our fight or flight or freeze
That's
is
one
going
of the hardest things.
It's one of the hardest things to do. Number 3 is how you treat your spouse or how you treat a co-parent in a divorce situation. So I would argue that of the top 3, none of those 3 have to do with a direct relationship with our child. They have everything to do with who we're becoming as adults. And so even love and affection, when you go to a therapist, one of the very first questions they're asking is, tell me about mom and dad. How well did you experience love in your home? And when you go to 1 John 4, it says, we love why? Because he first loved us. So our love and affection, the love and affection we're showing to our children comes out of our own love banks and how well those are filled up. And so this is also fascinating. So Vern Bankston, who's a researcher out of University of Southern California, he has since passed a few years ago, but he wanted to study what was the greatest common denominator for faith transmission across the generations. And he studied families for decades. So he followed these families for many, many decades. And what he found that the number one factor for faith transmission across the generations was relational warmth, particularly from a father figure. And I think, wow, we think about, well, we got to get into prayer time. We got to get into Bible time. We got to get yet so much of what we've learned through faith transmission and becoming healthy humans who are loving is what were the relationships like in our own world? How have we cultivated that? And what do the communities look like that we're around? Brené Brown talks about this, and I think this is an amazing quote. She says, who we are and who we're becoming are much stronger predictors of how our children will turn out than what we know about parenting. And so,
wow, that's powerful.
Even the sense of us filtering through the lens of emotional safety, how well are we cultivating that? It really does simplify it into, so the idea that self-care is not important, I think is a misnomer because we've got to be able to take care of ourselves because our children are catching that.
Yeah.
And I think, I think self-care doesn't even get to the depth of what, like I hear self-care and I'm like, get your nails done or something.
That's so
it's a L'Oreal commercial. And it's like, you really deserve the best because you're you or something like, let me get my hair done. Yeah. But that's not really what we're talking about.
I'm really glad you clarified that. Yeah. To speak to that. I think it's important.
I hear that term so often these days. And I'm like, I think we're missing it. Like we have to go to this deeper level of like, what do I need as a human? There's a whole lot of needs. And I remember early on, Kennedy, our daughter, she was really difficult, like just a really, really difficult baby. She cried like you dropped her on the floor. Like she screamed and she'd wake up every 43 to 48 minutes through the night. And I know that because we timed it. And she'd wake screaming like something was going on with her stomach. We never figured it out. Nobody could help. And it was just, that was when I referenced this in an earlier episode, but like when I hit the bottom rung of life, I was angry all the time. I cried all the time. I would hear I remember someone dropped something in the kitchen and it's like, you're just on edge. And I burst into tears. And I remember Josh putting his hands on my shoulders one day and looking me in the eye. And he said, Christi, I just want my wife back. And it was like a moment of clarity of like, where have I gone? I was so edgy and frustrated. And I literally call it the worst version of me that I'd ever been. And like, this is the version my sweet children are experiencing as their mom. Right. And I had no context or understanding of what was happening in me. But what I've learned all these years later is what was happening is that I was in a stuck state of survival. Like the body was built to protect us at all costs. And we actually refer to it as a ladder, which I literally did not know when I referred to it as hitting the bottom rung of life. And all these years later, the Lord was like, see, you weren't all wrong. But there's this, if you think of it as like a 3-runged ladder, like this top one is where we're most ourselves, where we're creative and we're curious and we're able to connect. And that's who we really are. And we call that like just a ventral. It just means the nervous system is in a state where it feels safe. And that's who we are. But then when the body detects threat, which it's scanning for at all times, any type of threat to it, which could be not just our safety, but our sense of belonging, our dignity, our sense of connection, if those things are at all threatened in any way, the nervous system is like throws on alert and we drop into this sympathetic state. And that really is just a protective way. We call it fight or flight often, where we're ready to fight or flee, like get out. But so often, at least what I get to work with a whole lot of women, and I see even as a society, a lot of us are stuck in this middle state, and it feels like edgy. It feels like anxiety. It feels like anger even, where it's these very urgent thoughts. And you're there if you feel this sort of sense of urgency in your thinking of like, I have to do this now or else, like I have to clean this floor right now or else I have to get this table cleaned off, or, women are like, why can't I let it go? Like what's wrong with me? Right. there's nothing wrong with you. Your body is in this state of self-protection. So everything is urgent right now until that it knows that it's safe. This is why emotional safety, like it's the core. It's how we move back up the ladder. And once we're in a state of safety, we're like, I can do this. I've got what it takes. Like that's what those thoughts feel like.
Right.
But for me, I lived at that fight or flight stage in those early years with Kennedy for so long, like just chronically stuck. I woke up in it. I stayed in it all day. I had no idea. I just was surviving. And then after a certain amount of time where the body's generating so much energy to protect you, it has to crash. Like it has to in order to survive.
Right.
And so that's when we drop to what we call it bottom rung of a ladder, which is like a dorsal vagal shutdown. And that's where I ended up on the bottom rung, where it feels like numb and you're disconnected, you're apathetic. It's where we like scroll endlessly or we watch Facebook or, Instagram and mindlessly or Netflix and all these things where we're just conserving energy because we have nothing left. It's where depression lives. It's where these states of really low level emotion, because we just don't have energy left to give to it. And then we feel so much shame that we're down there. And so often we'll get ourselves up by forcing it up. And then we wonder why we feel anxious. And then we drop back down. And it's these cycles that once you kind of have an understanding of it, you make so much sense. Where you find yourself in these patterns you find yourself in, they make total sense. And it's been a whole lot of years for me of learning how to heal that. Like, how do I move back up this ladder to find me again? It's not getting my nails done. It's learning, felt safe. Like, how do I speak messages of safety to the body? Some of that is for me, for sure, in communion with God, where I have to spend time with the Father. For him, that's what this felt sense of safety is. Like, the Father's love is what heals us. Community is what heals us. But from in lots of super practical things, going into like old wounds and traumas. And I think we throw along that word a lot right these days, but trauma is anything that hurts us and it sticks around, like it stays and it alters how we act in relationships. And we've all encountered it, but it's also not this big scary beast. Like, it's meant to heal. Like, Jesus came to set the captives free and bind up the brokenhearted. And as I've healed very slowly over time and been not afraid to look into those places, Kennedy told me the other day, she came into the living room and I was laughing about something. And she said, "Mom, you're laughing a lot more these days." And I just went right from laughing to crying, which for me is like totally normal. But I was like, that my daughter sees that. Like, we've gone from where we were to now that she sees that I laugh again. And that's become a part of who I'm becoming as we're talking. Like, I had to do this work for me and I'm watching it reflect in her. And that's how I've been.
I think it's important to identify too, that's been 10 years. She's 10 now. Yeah. And that this isn't like when you're in those moments, it feels so overwhelming. But here we are 10 years later and she's seen your 10-year journey of really learning who you're becoming and stepping into that. And I just want to say, as your husband, I've watched you, you've owned it and you are so teachable and you're so humble and you've taken that journey. And I just really want to honor you for that. Because I've seen that. And I think that's just what I want to say to people is it's a journey and it's okay. It doesn't have to be solved right this minute and it can't be, but you can enter that journey. And so I would love to hear from you, how you feel like you're different from when you became a mom into becoming a mom. Yeah.
I mean, I can see I've grown in patience so much. I mean, that's a massive one. And I would again say selflessness and putting others before myself. I didn't realize how selfish I was. But when you think about it, I mean, you're growing up and you're really thinking, how do I survive? How do I compete in this world? How do I do all these things? So you're very self-focused. And I think just because of my background, growing up in entertainment, having a full-time job since I've been 10 years old, but even starting work at 5, I had a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. And so it was very me focused. And how do you get to the next goal? How to achieve what needs to be done? And then being thrown into parenting, I'm like, I have to think of other people before myself. And that has been a growing journey that I'm still on to this day. And I'm 48 years old. But I can see the progress over the years. And I'm very grateful for that. What I say, patience. And I would just say, I think maybe this goes with patience, but a calmness. I think in the early years, I very much relate to angry mom. That was my knee-jerk reaction. It was just, I got angry, which is so weird to me because my parents were not angry people or yelling people. At least I don't remember that they were. But man, that's where I could go too fast. And I think if you asked my kids today, they would probably tell you that. Like,
let's do it.
You can ask them. They're going to be on some later episodes, but I think they would say, "Oh yeah, mom gets real mad. Gets real mad."
So would mine.
But I know that I've grown over that time. I actually remember a time when Natasha. It's always Natasha. Sorry, Natasha. But she was younger and she was still in a stroller and we were at the mall in a store and she was buckled in and she did not want to be there. And she was having a fit. I mean, a full-blown fit tantrum. And she just started like bucking out of her stroller, arching her back, flailing her arms and legs, all the things. And crying and screaming. And, I think I was trying to buy her shoes. I mean, something where I'm like, this is for you, child. It's for you that I'm doing. And I was so embarrassed, right? So embarrassed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are looking at me. Everyone's staring. And I feel like it's even probably in my own head, like, and then what if they recognize me on top of it? Like, is this going to show up in a magazine that Candace can't control her kid? So it was just awful, right? And I was just mortified. I was embarrassed. I like unbuckled her out of her stroller to see, okay, let's maybe walk around. And she just had a full-blown tantrum, like kicking and screaming on the floor. So I just scooped her up and I, walked her out to the car. I'm like, we are leaving. This is not happening. You don't behave this way. Mommy can't do all the things that you're just saying. But I was like mad and my heart was beating fast. But honestly, just mortified because I was embarrassed. You just feel bad when that happens in public, right?
Yeah.
Like months later, my sister calls me and she says, hey, I ran into an old friend of mine and I was talking to her today and she was telling me this story. She saw this mom in the mall and her kid was having a full-blown tantrum. I'm like, yeah. And then she said it was so inspiring to watch this mom calmly like pick up her child, took her child out of the store. She didn't make a scene. She was very in control of the situation and walked out. I'm like, oh, that's great. And she goes, yeah. And then she said, it was you. It was you in the store. And I'm like, it was me. And then it registered and she said what store it was. And I'm like, oh, that was the day I felt so embarrassed that this happened. And yet from the outside perspective, I'm like, I seemed in control. I seemed calm to someone else. And that for sure for me was a growing experience saying, okay, maybe I didn't feel it in the moment, but I certainly acted like it, I guess, to other people, someone else around me that saw it.
Wow.
And so I feel like, okay, like that was just a little boost of confidence for me. Like if that felt that way to someone else, then I can do this.
That she would go out of the way to tell that story. Oh my goodness.
I know it was actually really kind.
Yeah.
It just came back full circle.
And I bet too, for you, it would be very difficult because of people recognizing you, that you have that added sense of, oh my gosh, what if it ends up in a magazine? I can't even imagine that pressure.
That's how it feels for me.
Yeah.
However, I think it really is the same if you're like, oh, there's the other mom from school, or there's the pastor from my church, and they're watching my kid have a tantrum. It's just embarrassing.
Yeah. And I think just that visibility, we realized, is so like, it's universal. It's this like, don't look at me, don't look at me. And at the same time, I think we're walking around vessels that are like actually portraying the light of Jesus. And people notice, even when in our own flaws, it's like, what encouragement for you of like, look what she did with her daughter, and like how that spoke to that mom. It's like, he can use us despite ourselves. And for that, I'm so grateful.
Yeah, me too.
The Declaration of Independence states we all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm happiest when I'm having a great meal and making memories at the table with my family. Good Ranchers can help you do both of those things by delivering high-quality American meat right to your door. Their meat is the highest quality, it's transparently sourced, and I think your family will love it. Mine does. Don't miss out on their July special. Go get yourself $100 off and free Wagyu burgers for a year with my code CANDY at goodranchers.com. You'll never go back to the meat aisle again once you try Good Ranchers quality. 100% USA grown. No antibiotics or hormones added. I could keep listing the benefits, or you could just try it and see for yourself. The proof is in their protein. Here's my absolute favorite part about Good Ranchers, though. They're a company that is built by people who care. The founders, Ben and Coralie Spell, wanted food they could trust for their kids and couldn't find a convenient, transparent source of American meat. So they embraced the American spirit and came up with a solution we all needed. Go join the meat revolution and claim your independence from the meat aisle at goodranchers.com with my code CANDY. $100 off and free burgers for a year. What? Don't miss out on this offer. Go try Good Ranchers today at goodranchers.com. American meat delivered.
How have you guys felt changed in becoming the parents you are today? What have you seen the biggest difference in?
Yeah, I would say that is what you guys are talking about, is why parenting is the most guilt-ridden, shaming role on the planet, is because we feel like we have eyes on us at all times. And I feel like where I have grown in particular is, I guess and this is, I'm also in my mid 40s. And I feel like it's taken me that long to come to a place of being confident in following the Holy Spirit's voice in how I'm parenting. And we have people around us. I mean, we surround ourselves with spiritual directors and we do. It's not like we're going all the time, but we have people that we look up to that we're always, and I feel like I have those. It's like you have your compass. And you find those people that I look for the people that have raised their kids really, really well. And I say, let me take you to dinner. I want to learn from you. Tell me what I need to know. Yeah. And I feel like I've done that enough in my life where I've got these key things. It's like you're talking about, we were talking about with joy, when you walk into a room and you feel like, and I think that's what your example leads to, is we can go from shame. You were living in shame of that moment with Natasha screaming in the store, to feeling joy because you felt seen. You felt like someone saw you and you did well. Right. And I feel like there's not a lot of in between there. Yeah. It's either we feel shame or we feel joy. Yeah. And I feel like the more that I have surrounded myself with other men and fathers in particular who are going, I see you. Man, the way your children are interacting with you, the way you're interacting with your children. And I feel like that joy for me, I want to give that to my kids. Yeah. And so there was a moment a couple of weeks ago where our 3-year-old, he loves soccer, and he's in this soccer moment, and he is playing his first soccer game. I got it on video. It's so beautiful, where he scores his first goal. And what he does after scoring his first goal is he comes sprinting as fast as he can right to the camera, right to me, right back to his father. And I had a moment, it was in that moment where the Lord was like, Josh, don't you get it? Like, as much, it wasn't about the goal for me. I was so thrilled of how much joy was on my son's face. And it was like the Lord said, Josh, don't you get it? That's how much just imagine how much more I experience joy when you're walking in joy as your father.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, wow. He said, you need to find, you take life too seriously. You question yourself way too much. I want you to step into the things that bring you joy, because that's where I experience joy, is watching you live with joy. And I think that's where I'm at as a father, and how I've changed is I have taken life too seriously. I've been, I look at our kids now and I'm like, man, there's times where I've come down way too hard on them for things that just really didn't matter in the moment.
Yeah.
And if I could figure out a way to cultivate joy in their lives, that's where I've changed the most.
I feel that too, the difference of being a younger parent and an older parent. I mean, that's a whole other conversation in itself. But because I was very immature myself, I'm in my early 20s. And I know there's lots of moms and dads in their early 20s, and you just figure it out, right? And you're doing it. But I can look now, still in my 40s. I mean, I'm still of childbearing years. I could have a child right now. And I think of what a different parent I would be if I was raising a child now, or even had a 10-year-old now. It's just, that's why I'm so excited to become a grandparent one day.
I love it.
But there's so much maturity in that too, that I think about the different stages of becoming the parent you want to be. And, I don't know if there's any research or scientific anything to this, but I feel like there's so many advantages to both. One, younger, I have the stamina to kind of
that's right.
get through, have all the kids and be doing all the things. However, I look at other parents that are older and I think of the maturity that they probably have, the patience that they have that I didn't have. And because Val and I, even when we're around other people's kids, just have a different calmness about us now.
Yeah. Well, I think about that as we're talking, because you were 22 when you had Natasha, and I think I was 32 when we had Landon. And so, but I think I needed those 20s to heal from my parents' divorce and to learn who I was becoming. And I think for God to also prepare me for doing what He's called us to do, because I don't know that I would be, I look back on that. To me, that's God's grace, because I don't know that I would have ever.
That totally is God's grace.
And
I always
very deeply.
I always think about, I'm like, there's always a reason too. God's, that's what I mean. We have a plan of what we want.
That's
and
exactly
God
right.
says, but here is the plan.
And I remember in the last episode, I talked about my dad and what an amazing father he was. And he was always there for me in the stands. But in big emotional moments of my life, he didn't know how to show up. So in other words, when my parents divorced, it was unconscious. I don't know that it was actually said, but I chose to keep my things at my dad's house. And there was a degree to which it was like I said to my dad, I'm going to stay here and take care of you because mom's leaving you. And it wasn't verbalized, but it was as if that was happening. And what I needed my dad to do was to go, it's okay, son, I'm your father. I'm going to take care of you. And I don't feel like that ever happened. I feel like my dad was very codependent on his kids and on me. And that's where I really became people pleasing and these things. And I mean, I even remember there was a moment where, I'm on the wrestling, we're driving to a wrestling tournament and we're in the bus and I'm getting picked on, like I'm getting bullied. My dad's literally driving the wrestling van and I'm getting bullied to the point of almost tears. And my dad didn't say anything. Like everyone's just letting, he and another coach are in the front and they're just letting the kids do their things. And I remember, like, that's a moment I vividly remember. But I look back on my dad's life and I go, his parents left him when he was 12.
He had a father who was absent for the most part. And I think my dad did what he knew how to do. But, I talked about in that episode that now what I want to do to honor my dad is I want to take the good that he gave me, but I also want to look at the pieces where he missed it, and I want to level that up for my kids. And that's where I look at this and I go, in big emotional moments of my life or my kids' lives, I want them to know that their dad is going to be able to handle it. I want them to know that their dad is going to be able to walk them through it, and that they have someone that they can call, and that I'm going to be the one who's joyfully going, I'm so grateful to see you. You're the sparkle in my eye. Doesn't matter what you're experiencing. Doesn't even matter what you did. I want you to know I'm going to walk through it with you. And I think that's where I'm trying to level up my own family of origin in that regard.
I just keep thinking of so Mike is our little guy. And, we have this big age gap and, we're in our 40s now. And, even just this morning, he's at the hotel, and he's having he's sobbing into the bed cause he's wondering, where's mom and dad going to be today? And who's taking care of me? And, we just flown in yesterday, and I'm you're dictating to them what the day's going to be. And then I realized I'm watching him and I'm like, he doesn't understand.
He's literally asking where our van is parked because he wants to ride in our van today. So he has some sense of, here he is 3 years old, almost 4, talking about, I just want something that feels safe, and it's our van.
Yeah. And I know that years past, I would have just been like, buddy, you're fine. This is what it is. This is. And so I'm having this moment of I'm proud of me. Cause this morning I got down and I just got into his face and I said, bud, this all feels scary, doesn't it? He's like, yes, mom. And he didn't need me to fix it. Nothing changed.
You just related on emotional.
It was just, and then it was gone. It was all of this hysterics was gone. And he was just and then he just grabbed my hand and it was okay, we've got this. But I realized years ago, I wouldn't have known to do, I don't know that I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have had the capacity within me to get on his level and take on his big feelings without trying to just fix it or just bulldoze it, with my bigness. And
I still struggle with that to this day with my adult children. Yeah. And it's something that Val and I talk about. I'm aware of. My kids talk to me about it too, and I'm grateful for it. But I still struggle with it. I don't always realize I'm not as empathetic as I think I am.
Yep.
And I'm very much let's just get it done. Yeah. Let's do it. And I could go back to my childhood and tell you all the reasons why, but it was that's how I grew up. I had a job to do.
Right.
I had a bunch of people telling me what I had to do.
Yep.
And I had to get an A+ at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so I'm very much wired that way. Yeah. And I'm trying to undo some of those wires. Those are all great things when it comes to business. Yeah. It's why I do all the things that I do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to relationships, I can just push through them often. And so I can see the places I wish I did better when they were younger, and places I'm still able to learn and grow and do better today. And I have a lot of room for improvement. And that's the whole transition from young kids to adult kids. And you guys aren't adult kids yet, but it's not so much me telling them what to do in the parenting sense, but I want to continue to have an amazing relationship. Yeah. And I have great relationships with them. But once they become adults, they get to be their own people and do exactly what they want to do. And once they have their families, they get to choose what they're going to do and pick and choose the good things that came out of it. And, I want to still be with them in the healthiest ways possible on those journeys. And then, it kind of comes back at you. So I'm looking in the mirror a lot, and I'm still struggling going, man, with my kids that are in their 20s, am I still looking them in the eye and going, how does that feel for you? Is that scaring you? Are you nervous about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even how can I be there for you?
And what's fascinating about that is I think of Job's friends when Job was going through all of his trials, and the first 7 days, they were just present. They didn't say anything. It wasn't until after 7 days that they opened their mouths. Yeah, and then they got themselves in trouble. And I think if we could be Job's friends in the first 7 days where they were just presence, the presence, it's the best thing that we can give is our presence. And James talks about it. Brothers and sisters, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And then it says, because human anger does not accomplish God's righteousness. That's convicting to me.
That is.
And so if I got 2 years in one mouth for a reason, I want to use those 2 years well with my kids and then just allow the other stuff to take care of itself, the discipline, the consequences. Yeah. But I've got to listen first.
And I think like what comes to me too, as you're saying that, is like the pressure we put on ourselves to have the right things to say, like that we need to fix it or have some great sense of wisdom or something. And to really I think just the pressure off of realizing we just need to hear them and be with them. And if you, even in marriage, we talk about that, where it's like, neither of us want to be fixed. Like, I don't need you to actually give me advice. Sometimes I do. And sometimes I'll ask for it. But most of the time I need you to just let me unpack whatever this is going on inside. And then it's gone.
Yeah.
And the pressure we put on ourselves to think we have to be the answer.
I want to sum this up with one thing. We were talking about this. I wrote an entire book on emotional safety in kids. And I was scrolling through Instagram one day and I come across this post that Bob Goff wrote. And it's leave it to Bob Goff to put in one sentence what took me an entire book to describe. But he said this, he said, be the adult you needed when you were a child. And I think that really is what becoming is all about, think about your own childhood. Take yourself back to yourself as a child. And what is it that you needed? And give that to your kids.
I'm loving this episode. We have got to take a few listener questions. This first one is from Charity. She says, I'm a mother of 6 children in my early 40s, and I'm struggling with self-image. I'm not happy with how I look, and no matter what I do, I can't seem to change my weight or tone anything up. Feeling drained and just sad that my best days are behind me. I work part-time, and I just feel exhausted most of the time. I feel like anything I start can't be sustained. What are some small steps and measures I can take to feel like I'm doing the right thing for myself and my body? I do daily prayer time and I try to get in small workouts, but I just don't see any improvements. I think we can go around the table and maybe offer a little advice on this one.
Can I just want to say, like, Christi and I'd love for you to share too, because I think you would say you struggle with something similar here. I think the thing that I want to speak to, and I just want to say this very, very clearly. I'm also in my 40s. And the question said, I'm sad that my best days are behind me. I just want to come out and say,
sad to hear.
Don't come into agreement with that.
Yes.
That is a lie of the enemy.
Yes.
And when you speak that over your life, you begin to believe that about your life. And I just want to say, you got to believe that your best days are ahead of you.
Yes.
Because they truly are ahead of you. As your children get older, as they age, as things, and so it's easy to get stuck on one small thing in our lives. And again, I'm not a woman. I'm not dealing with the self-image stuff that I know that you and I have talked about, that I know you do. So I think you should speak to that. I would say for me, I work out. I love working out. I have to work out. I do it for mental health more than I probably do for physical health. At the same time, I'm in my mid-40s with a 3-year-old. And so if I want to experience my children and be the young 20s, the vibrance of a young 20-something, I've got to maintain that consistency. And I think just the consistency over and over and over again, it's not that you see any major results. It's that you put yourself in a different mental capacity to know that the decisions that I'm making, the small 2-degree decisions that I'm making every single day, are the things that will have the lifelong impact. In the Western world, we want that instant gratification. We want that instant fix.
Right.
And it is a lifestyle. It's not the immediate gratification.
So good.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, when I relate to this in ways like I can't even explain, actually. I'm in my early 40s, and I don't know that I recognized how much self-image matters to women until I started working with women, probably this last number of years. I lead a group called Tender and Fierce, and it's really a discipleship, but also healing for women. And I realized this issue, like Charity, you are speaking to the choir. Like this is all of us, I think.
Yep.
And also, but you picked up on it exactly. I hear a spirit of despair, like literally where it becomes like, we really do come into agreement with a despairing spirit. Like everything is, and when you start to hear that language and realize this like sort of thing has coded your life, like that's a real place for me that's where the fierce part is in Tender and Fierce, where yes, we're tender as women and God calls us to nurture and to really, I think we're soft for a reason because we empathize with people but we're also fierce, and we are to stand on the watchtower and watch. And when things like this start to creep into our lives, we realize we've sort of become apathetic. We've kind of, given over like, well, I guess this is just the way that it is. And I just think, I know that's what the enemy would love. And we were meant to be fierce in how we defend our families, but also ourselves, like standing at the watchtower, like something has shifted in me. I didn't used to be like this. I didn't used to feel like this. And I'm not saying just your body, like we are going like genuine changes. And I understand it so much in that, like, sometimes I'll look at myself, I'm like, wow, I literally see, like, I don't recognize her anymore. But the spirit in me is the same, in that I will continue to run the race that God has called me to until he calls me home. And that means I will fight for, my relationships. I will even and for me, working out was a really big thing that I had to reintegrate into my life, because when I was on the bottom rung, that was the last thing that I had I couldn't. I just couldn't. And that has been one of the things that has helped me climb back up.
Yeah.
And connecting to that part of me that it's like, I am valuable. Even if it doesn't look on the outside like everyone else says it should look, I am valuable. And I have had to fight for that. And that the joy comes with even just the small disciplines of she's doing it. Like she's doing these, small workouts and she doesn't see improvements. And I say the improvement is that you're doing them. Like, go girl, like you're doing it and you're committing to it. And it doesn't have to be this regimented, like wildly successful bodybuilding thing. Like this is small changes in the same direction. And I just am proud of her. Because she's fighting.
Yeah, I agree. I look at this question too, and I think you have 6 kids.
Yeah.
You've got 6 kids.
Gosh,
You've got
that's
a
so
huge
true.
job ahead of you. I'm like, you don't have to be all the things and do all the things. However, I very much understand and relate to the body image issues also.
Yeah.
And if that is actually a hindrance in you being your best self because you don't feel good in that way, then I'm like, you've got to rid this spirit of despair and feeling that, get the words out of your mind that your best days are ahead of you.
That's it. Yeah.
And you can look at that. I can look at examples all in my life. My mom, 74 years old, she's never looked better in her life. And in the last year, she's just transformed physically. And she's just like, I have so many days ahead of me. I am just getting started. Yeah. And sometimes it's that renewal of your mind.
So good.
It's the renewal of spirit in you. And if you're thinking those negative things, I'm like, you've got to cast it out. You've got to pray it out, get it out, because it is not you. Yeah. It's not who you are. Yeah. I remember one time I was co-hosting The View, and it was towards the end of my 2-year tenure on the show. Is tenure the right word? Tenure. I don't know. And I was getting I was not me. I was not myself. I was getting real worn out.
Yeah.
So much so that my appearance, for me, it was different. All the cute clothes that I would put on, I started saying, no, let me just wear something a little looser. Let me wear something a little baggier. Let me wear something a little less fitted. And to me, it was such a mind shift because the physical is important to me. I love clothes. I love fashion. I love feeling good. But then moving into, I'm just going to wear something baggy. It was just hiding for me. I don't feel like my best self. Now I just want to hide. And it wasn't even about my physical body that it didn't look good.
Yeah.
It was just a form of hiding. And this went on for, let's just call it 3 or 4 weeks. And then I talked to my best friend and she said, what's going on? And I'm like, I'm just at the end of it. This is tough. I don't even feel like myself. And she goes, well, I can tell by what you're wearing on the show. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, you always walk out like you're confident. You have pep in your step. And she said, you just look like you're hiding even with the clothes that you're wearing. And I went, because I am.
Wow.
I just am. So she goes, today or tomorrow, I need you to go find an outfit and I want it tight. I mean, this is like crazy, but she goes, I want it fitted. I want you to show your waist or show off those great legs that you have. Wear a skirt, like wear something that you feel good in. And I'm like, but I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
And she goes, put the dress on, put something on, and you're going to make yourself feel good. And I did the next day. And I was like, I chose an outfit that felt more like me, even though I didn't feel that like I didn't necessarily want to wear it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but in that case, I had to renew my mind. I had to reshift my mindset. And I did it even within the clothes that I'm wearing. So Charity, my point to saying this is maybe you're like, hey, I get in a workout, but I'm just not seeing the results. But the mindset from the tone of your message is like, but you're already defeated.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've already lost.
Yeah.
And I want you to go, no. You haven't lost.
Yeah.
So I want you to put on the tight workout clothes. Don't wear the baggy sweats and the loose t-shirt.
That's it.
And I want you to put in your effort. And if you're getting even a small workout in, is it the best? Like, are you putting all your effort? Give yourself that time to do it.
Yeah.
This is where community is so powerful.
Yeah.
Your best friend. This is where I'm just going to encourage you, Charity. Community is everything. We need to have people in our lives who are calling us out when we are not in our best self, but also calling us to that level higher to say, oh no, you are beautiful. Where we feel the joy of someone else who we feel like we're the sparkle of their eye, whether that's your small group, church community, faith community, whatever that looks like, a best friend. We need those people in our lives who are helping us level that up, because sometimes we just need truth spoken. Speak the truth in love is what the Bible says. We need people who will speak the truth in love to us to help us get out of those agreements with some of these spirits that are defeating.
Yeah.
And I feel so much for her. That's the thing that pops off to me is going, your best days are ahead of you.
Yeah.
The power of life and death are on the tongue.
Yeah.
Speak life over your life. Speak beauty over your life. Speak joy over your life. And
let others do it until you can.
That's right.
Yes.
Because you'll absorb it. Like I'm like coming out of my skin because like I literally just went through this, Charity, in the sense of like I wore all black, Candace. Like I was wearing, I went through this season. We'd moved. It was, I really only wore black. And I had to have friends, multiple of them actually come around me and go, Christi, I think it's time for you to wear color. And I know that sounds like, okay, you just decide to wear color. It was huge for me. Like this like transition of like, I'm going to start looking for color. But it was like, they had to put it in me first. And then I started to be like, you're right. I can wear color. And now I like look at black, and I wore something black the other day and I was like, ew, this doesn't feel like me anywhere.
So weird. I hardly wear black. That's the thing. And I actually just got the cute little black top and some little black pants. And I felt so weird though. I'm like, I never wear all black. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
And it affects you. Like
it totally
so
does.
Strange.
It does.
But I knew I needed them.
Yeah.
To help me. And now I'm like, I had even painted like my nails, like, and they were like colors the other day. And I was teaching one of our webinars, and I had women like texting me like, look at her, she's even has color on her nails. And I was like, that's right, I do.
So Charity,
I'm sure you have great friends out there that will speak life into you and over you and encourage them to do so. Be honest with them and say, like, guys, I need a pick me up. I need you to speak. But if for some reason you don't have those friends, we are speaking that life into you right
and
now.
I would just say this too. I remember a moment where I was driving home. I was in a very difficult job situation. And I was praying and I felt the Lord say, Landon was probably like 1 year of age at the time. And I remember it was like the Lord said to me, Josh, what advice would you give your son right now if he were in this moment? And I'm speaking that to you, Charity, right now. What do you want your 6 children when they're in their 40s to be believing about themselves when they're in the same moment and start living out what you want your children to live out? Yeah. Because that is what's going to give you the fire and the why to get into agreement with that life-giving spirit again.
Yeah. It's so good. We have so many more questions to answer, but our time is up. So we're going to try to pack more questions into the future episodes. And remember that we have a free gift for you this season called The Healthy Home Guide. And it's from Josh and Christi's book, Famous at Home. You can get it at Candace.com. And the link is in our show notes. You'll also see the link to their book, Famous at Home, which is what this season is based on. Until next time, be grateful all day, every day.
If you value local, trustworthy, and high-quality food, now is the perfect time to join the Good Ranchers family. I was thrilled when my first Good Ranchers box showed up and it was all still perfectly frozen. And what I really love about Good Ranchers is their commitment to transparency. They believe you have the right to know exactly what's in your food. I mean, hello. And they're also amazing supporters of this show. Good Ranchers sources all of their meat from local U.S. farms, so you're getting the best of the best. No antibiotics, no added hormones, just pure, delicious meat you can trust. And do you ever notice when you're in the store, when you buy chicken or beef, it costs more and the portions way less every time you buy it? But imagine having top quality, 100% American beef, chicken, pork, and wild-caught seafood delivered right to your door. Just head over to GoodRanchers.com and subscribe to any box to unlock savings. Good Ranchers is where you can get 100% USA grown meat you can trust that's tender and full of flavor every single time. With meat prices continuing to go up and the quality at the store going down, Good Ranchers can save you hundreds. Your taste buds, your wallet, and local ranchers will thank you. GoodRanchers.com, American meat delivered.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If something we said today made you feel good, would you tap the like button? I've got new videos every week, but you never know when I might post something extra. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss anything new. CandyRock Entertainment, all rights reserved.